Hello viewers, I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. We are gearing up for the 2022 Birmingham Queen's Baton Relay. I'm today joined by Dr. Katherine Smith, Director of Culture, and Mr. Ephraim Penn, the President of the BVI Commonwealth Games Association. As usual, the Queen's Baton takes on a very special cultural aspect, which we're going to break down today. All this after a quick commercial break. You're watching 284 Media.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What do you really? Hey, this ain't like you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Viewers, welcome back and thank you so much for sticking with us. As promised, I am joined by Director of Culture, Dr. Katherine Smith, alongside Mr. Ephraim Penn, President of the BVI Commonwealth Games Association, and we are discussing the 2022 Birmingham Queen's Baton Relay. Ms. Smith and Mr. Penn, welcome back to our studios and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It is always a pleasure. Before we get into the events of the 2022 Birmingham Queen's Baton, Mr. Penn, I'd like you to begin by giving us an introduction, a history of the Queen's Baton Relay.
Thank you very much, Ron. Well, the Queen Baton Relay is the precursor to the Commonwealth game. It signals the beginning of the Commonwealth game for that particular year. This one started in October of last year, where the Queen placed her message in the baton and it was sent off to the 72 Commonwealth countries and territories, the British Virgin Islands being one of those. The baton relay is significant in that it helps to showcase the uniqueness of the Commonwealth, and when it's in the territory, it acts as a very important mechanism to showcase the cultural, historical, and tourism aspect of that country. So we see this as a great honor when the baton is going to be arriving here on the 3rd and the 4th, where we can showcase the British Virgin Islands and all its beauty to the rest of the Commonwealth and to the world. So it signals a very important start, as you mentioned, to the Commonwealth Games, which will take place in Birmingham, England this year, July 24th to August 8th. And what is significant about this Commonwealth game is that for the first time ever, the British Virgin Islands will be going into the Commonwealth game with a Commonwealth champion in the name of Katherine McMaster, who won the 400-meter hurdles in 2018 in the Gold Coast, setting history for the British Virgin Islands. And we're looking forward to great things this coming up Commonwealth Games. In fact, we are hoping to take the biggest team ever to a Commonwealth game. We have 5 sports: athletics, swimming, squash, 3-on-3 basketball, cycling, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So we are very excited for not only the baton coming through and signaling the beginning of the journey towards the Commonwealth game, but also the Commonwealth Games itself.
Definitely, and I do think the general public will be excited to see our delegation travel to Birmingham to represent us in the Commonwealth Games 2020. I want to talk about the route. You mentioned that the baton will be in the Virgin Islands on the 3rd and 4th. Tell us about the route, who will be participating, and where we can expect to see the baton.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, we have Dr. Smith with us, and she is going to really highlight some of the cultural aspects of what we're trying to achieve. But we have a very exciting program for the Baton in the 2 days it's going to be here. We're going to open with the opening ceremony at the A.O. Shirley Recreation Ground at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, May 3rd. And so from there, we're going to kick the Baton off, moving at a good pace, but not too fast. We're going to have the premier or acting premier do the first symbolic lap around the A.O. Shirley Recreation Ground track. And that's going to be handed off to Honorable Kai Reimer, who will do the first leg from the A.O. Shirley grounds to the Sugar Works Museum. In keeping with the theme of the relay, we are going to then go to RTS Catholic School, where we're going to look for what we call a change maker, someone in the school or in the community there who has made a significant difference, and it must be a young person. So because it's all, as you know, 75% of the Commonwealth are between the age of 15 to 29.
Yes.
So they're trying their best to showcase the future in the youth. So we're going to have a person from RTS Catholic running to the Gerald Neal Botanic Gardens. And from there, it's going to be taken to the Sunday Morning Well. From the Sunday Morning Well to the Elmo Stout High School, we're going to have Mr. Thomas from Clarence Thomas Limited doing a brisk leg up to Elmo Stout High School. And then what we're going to do something very unique. When we leave the Elmo Stout High School, we're going to go across to the E. Walwyn Broley Softball Park, where Mr. Broley himself will be given the honor of receiving the baton with as many softball players and supporters around him. We are honoring Mr. Broley for his years of contribution to sports in the British Virgin Islands, in particular softball. So the baton will go on, but Dr. Smith will now take over and give us some key cultural stuff that will make including mentioning the opening ceremony and also some of the key spots that will make it significant as the baton travels through Rotown in its first leg.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. Dr. Smith, tell us about the opening ceremony.
Okay, so the opening ceremony, of course, first of all, it's been a pleasure working with this group and bringing culture and integrating culture and heritage throughout. Now, the opening ceremony, as mentioned by Mr. Penn, there's a theme, a little bit of a theme there that you would be seeing, which has to do with youth and with untold stories, right? So at that opening ceremony, and we hope everyone can come out, it's at 9, as mentioned, at the Old Shirley Grounds. Expect to see poetry, music, dance, right? Now, I want to mention a special thing that has happened. The BVI, it was one of 5 countries, I think, chosen by Birmingham 2022. Chosen in terms of choosing a young artist to be involved, so that the Birmingham 2022 engaged a consultant in Birmingham, and interviews were carried out, calls were made, and Miss Annika Christopher of the BVI was selected as the young poet. So her presence will be there at the opening ceremony. Of course, we'll have our Virgin Islands Poet Laureate, the well and extremely accomplished Dr. Richard Georges. And remember, again, the theme is untold stories, so it's going to be pretty interesting. The dance selections, I hope everyone comes out. They tell a story also. One of the primary schools is involved. I won't mention, that will be a nice surprise. And then we have another group of young dancers, and these are cultural dances that come from our heritage. Also, we have a young Fungi music band, Razor Blades, and that also will tell a story. So I think we'll be represented well at the opening ceremony in terms of culture being integrated. Mr. Penn mentioned the stops. We were so happy to integrate and tell the world about certain stops and their significance to our story. As you can see, the Lower State Sugar Works Museum is on there, Her Majesty's Prison Museum, the Noah Lloyd Positive Action Movement Park, and of course the Over Georges Plaza. These are all extremely significant.
Indeed.
We have persons at a few of these stops, and keeping with the energy of the relay, we'll be telling a little bit about, you know, the significance of these spots along the way. So that's also an element there that's great. We can't on the Wednesday. I think I might wait a bit till we jump to the other day to speak about those things.
We can finish off
the afternoon, the pulpit, and the
the afternoon.
Well, Dr. Smith, before you continue, I must commend you and your team at the Department of Culture. One of the very special things I think showcased in the Birmingham 2022 Queen's Baton Relay is exactly that, the cultural relevance and highlighting of the various very pivotal areas within the Virgin Islands. I think we are finding more and more creative ways of really instilling our culture and moreover sharing that culture and presence with the rest of the world. I do have a question, however, as Mr. Penn mentioned in regards to us being a part of the Commonwealth. Are we in any way, or will we in any way be able to transfer cultures? Will any other Commonwealth be showcased and their culture, will they get an opportunity to share it with us? How does that work?
Yes, so the whole dynamic also, and we would have spoken about it more at the Old Government House Museum reception, but the whole dynamic is that what you want to do, you want to portray the country hosting the games, Birmingham, as well as where it is right now, BVI. So at the opening ceremony, we have a touch of that. I think we'll be having, I think it's poetry. We'll be having poetry from the English perspective, but at the ceremony on Monday in the afternoon, there's a bit more. There's an emphasis on cuisine from both. Then there's an emphasis on performance. Annika Christopher would be there as well as I think a very dynamic performer, Al Broderick, English from the English side, will be doing a musical selection. So you definitely would be seeing a lot of that during that event.
Wonderful. And then, of course, we have the closing ceremony. But before we do that, I am so happy that you have a wide variety, Mr. Penn, in the selection of participants, from our leaders to our young and upcoming athletes to persons, as you call them, change makers, who will be able to participate. Someone like Mr. Thomas, who has given so much to the community in his philanthropic efforts, all get an opportunity to be a part of this very historic moment. Can you tell the public about the closing ceremony, Dr. Penn? And of course, I'd like to give you both an opportunity to overall encourage the general public to come out to this very historic Birmingham 2022 Queen's Baton Relay.
Well, before we get to the closing ceremony, we, as you know, the relay is a two-day event.
Yes.
So we will touch after the final leg of the relay in Rotown will be with the governor from the Adina Donovan home up to the Old Government House Museum. He'll be sprinting up there, you know, giving it his all, and that should be you know, to finish off the first leg. Then we move on to Ebenezer Thomas Primary School in Seacrest Bay, where we have an interactive session with the kids.
Okay.
And then there, Honorable Julian Fraser, who has always been very supportive of the Baton when it comes through, will do a leg from Ebenezer Thomas along with Mr. Milton McLean to the where is he going? He's going to Manuel Reef, where the Baton will be taken by sloops to Nanny Key. After that, we take a break, have some lunch, and then we move to what is a very unique aspect of the event, where we try to showcase our culture and also the exchange that happens from generation to generation. We're going to interview a unique family down at Carrot Bay, sorry, Albert Stout and his two sons. Albert Stout is a well-known fisherman.
Yes.
And so his two sons, Zachary, and they have taken up the trade and they will be interviewed, and they can give an aspect of how their father have taught them the trade. And what is unique about in speaking with them is that how they use fishing not only for the sake of catching fish, but as a way of preserving the stock. They only catch what they need. They get a quota of fish for the day, and they catch that, and then they move on to the next day.
Interesting.
It's really unique speaking to them, and I think the public will be impressed. And what is important about that is that the Baton will be recording all these events, and for the next 2 days, the British Virgin Islands would be in the limelight of the entire Commonwealth. So we move on to Capone's Bay School, where we're going to go to and hopefully visit a coal pit and get a sense of that history and how that is done. On the second day, before we get to the final day, as I say, Mark, we go off to Virgin Gorda.
Beautiful.
At the Ebenezer, at the school there, Bravado Flax Educational Center. And we will do a session with the kids there. And then we'll visit, I think they'll do a tour of Green VI Eco Park. And that is in keeping with the United Nations Sustainability Program at the show, where the BVI is also, keeping abreast of what's happening in the world and preserving the planet for the next generation. After that is finished, we'll go to what we say will be the final leg to the Eastern Long Look community with a unique relay through the historical and important sites there. And I will let Dr. Smith again tell us about the key ones that she thinks culturally is significant to the public, and why we encourage everyone in the Eastern Long Look community and from the entire British Virgin Islands to come out and listen to what's happening in Eastern on the 4th.
Dr. Smith?
Yes, so on the 4th, to pick up from there, of course, a few iconic stops, starting at the Methodist Church at Chapel Hill with its long, lengthy, rich history, moving on to the Methodist Church in Long Look, and then moving over to the Stickett. So, of course, we're going to learn all about this free village that's so, it's so established in our heritage, the importance of it, keeping the energy of the relay at the Stickett, and then going from there to what's obviously an integral part of our culture, which is our maritime heritage.
Yes.
Stopping at the Virgin Islands Maritime Museum. I think Green VI, there's a stop.
I think there's a stop at Green VI also.
Yeah, out there. I think it's right integrated when they go to HLSCC and the Virgin Islands Maritime Museum. And in addition to that, of course, ending up at Brandywine Bay Beach, which is it's going to be so good. It starts at 3, and before I talk about the cultural part, it starts at 3 with the sports showcase, which I'm excited about also.
Yes, picking up from where Dr. Smith left off, just to mention the relay in East End has a few iconic runners in it. It's going to be started by Dean Greenaway, who is perhaps the best known athlete, track and field athlete coming out of our district. And then, of course, Dr. Wheatley, Natalia Wheatley, and Honorable Marlon Penn will also be doing legs up there. So we're looking forward to some good sprinting. As far as the events on we're also going to visit the tennis center and also display tennis up there also.
Okay.
But as far as the events at the Brandywine Bay, beach sports are becoming very popular in the Olympic cycle, beach games. So we have we're going to be displaying about 4 games up there. We're going to have rugby, beach rugby, volleyball, and football, which we call futsal. And we're going to have exhibition by our taekwondo athletes. But to cap the afternoon off with sport event, we're going to try to do one of what is traditionally known as an event that closes off traditional Virgin Islands picnic, a tug of war.
Beautiful.
So we're gonna have so those young and strong who think they're young and strong to come out and try the hand at the tug of war at the games, and then after the tug of war, of course, we're gonna go into a very exciting closing ceremony. Cultural event. You're gonna have local foods and drinks, and I'll let Dr. Smith tell you all about that exciting aspect where we'll showcase some more of Virgin Islands talent and Virgin Islands pride.
Yeah, so picking up there, of course, like Mr. Penn mentioned, and so that starts at 3 with the games, and I think the cultural about 4:30. We want everybody to come out to everything. So this is more of a cultural beach vibe. So we're going to have, of course, bands there, or in particular one band, which we're pretty excited about. Storytelling, we have some interesting storytellers there. Dance, just a bit more of a whole cultural vibe, more fluid, more flowing for the closing ceremony. Poetry, of course. So all of this will be happening over the time. I think from about 4:30 to 6 or 6:30. Cultural food and drink, as mentioned before. So I think that anybody who loves beach sports,
Yes.
beach culture, cultural food and drink, performance, poetry, storytelling, dance, music, everyone should come out if you enjoy those things. And that should be everybody.
Good.
Absolutely amazing. I cannot tell you how, first of all, as you know, the 2 days are always jam-packed, but something about this year seems even more jam-packed with exciting and fun events. I love the tug-of-war aspect of it, and I really commend you both on and your organization and your teams for putting together such a fun-filled and exciting, culturally relevant Birmingham 2022 Queen's Baton. Mr. Penn and Ms. Smith, before we go, I'd like you to encourage the general public to come out and support the number of events that are going to be taking place over the course of the 2 days.
Yes, it certainly will. But before I close, I'd just like to mention, these things do not happen in a vacuum. There's always a team involved.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to really recognize Sophia Faye for her efforts in organizing this. I mean, my job is easy. She tells me just to show up here and smile, and which I'm trying to do. But everything has been done and in place. The key stakeholders involved in the planning and hosting of the event: the Office of the Governor, Office of the Premier, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, Agriculture, to include the Department of Culture, Education, and Youth Affairs and Sports. The Virgin Islands Police Force, which is going to play a key role in making sure things run smoothly and on time. The BVI Tourist Board for their work in receiving the baton, and of course the Post Office and what they're doing. The event sponsors include the Government of the Virgin Islands again, the BVI Banking Association, and those banks are Bank of Asia, Banco Popular, CIBC First Caribbean, First Bank, National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Republic Bank, and VP Bank, Caribbean Insurers Limited, Clarence Thomas Limited, Carlisle Insurance BVI Limited, O'Neill Webster, Rotong Wholesale Trading Limited, Walkers, Harneys, and Joma Properties. Without those groups and persons, this could not happen the way it's going to happen, and we definitely look forward and excited. And I encourage the public to come out, because you're going to have a fun time. And just working with Dr. Smith got me all excited with all the different music and the variety of activities that's going to happen. It's just exciting. It's going to be exciting even.
And Dr. Smith, from a cultural aspect, how important is it for persons to come out and support this event?
I think it's definitely important because it's very important because Mr. Penn mentioned that this is our opportunity for 2 days we would be the spotlight would be on us. We're going to be forecast to the world. So we're telling our story, we're sharing our culture with the world, and of course we are, so we all need to be there in order to do that.
Wonderful. I want to thank you guys so much again for your time. Viewers, the Birmingham 2022 Queen's Baton Relay, we encourage you to come out and support particularly the young and upcoming athletes. The Commonwealth Games, for which the Virgin Islands will be represented in Birmingham, is something to watch. We have quite a strong delegation that will be heading there, and we wish them all the best. Viewers, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much. I'm Ron Grant, reporting for 284 Media.